In the brutal winter of 1939, war erupted in the frozen north. The Soviet Union, under Joseph Stalin, launched a massive invasion of Finland, aiming to secure its borders and protect Leningrad. What followed would become one of the most shocking conflicts of the 20th century, the Winter War. On November 30th, Soviet bombers filled the skies while artillery thundered across the border. Nearly 1 million Soviet troops advanced with tanks like the T-26 and BT series, supported by heavy guns and aircraft. Facing them was a much smaller Finnish force, poorly equipped but highly motivated. The first major clashes came along the Mannerheim Line battles, a series of fortifications across the Karelian Isthmus. Soviet forces launched repeated frontal assaults using tanks and mass infantry charges. But Finnish defenders, armed with rifles, machine guns, and improvised anti-tank weapons like Molotov cocktails, held their ground. Farther north, at the Battle of Suomussalmi, the war took a dramatic turn. Soviet divisions advanced along narrow forest roads only to be trapped. Finnish ski troops moved swiftly through deep snow, cutting supply lines and isolating enemy units. Using Mati tactics, they split Soviet columns into smaller pockets and destroyed them piece by piece. Entire Soviet divisions were wiped out. The cold became a deadly weapon. Temperatures plunged below -40 degrees Celsius. Soviet tanks froze solid, engines failing in the snow. Soldiers, lacking proper winter gear, succumbed to frostbite and exhaustion. Meanwhile, Finnish troops adapted to the terrain, struck like shadows, and disappeared into the forest. One man became a legend, Simo, the White Death. Armed with a simple rifle, he used no scope to avoid detection. Hidden in the snow, he silently eliminated hundreds of Soviet soldiers, becoming one of the deadliest snipers in history. But the Soviet Union adapted. Reinforcements surged forward, and new tactics replaced reckless assaults. Heavy artillery bombarded Finnish defenses relentlessly, while larger, coordinated attacks began to break through. By early 1940, Finnish forces were exhausted. After months of relentless fighting, peace was signed in March. Finland was forced to cede territory, but it had not been conquered. The cost was staggering. The Soviet Union suffered over 100,000 dead, with hundreds of thousands wounded. Finnish losses were far smaller, around 25,000 killed, but devastating for such a small nation. The Winter War proved a powerful lesson. Numbers alone do not guarantee victory. In the frozen silence of Finland, determination, strategy, and the environment itself became weapons, and a small nation stood against a superpower.